All right, so are you ready for this? Today's deep dive is going to be pretty wild.
Oh, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
We're talking about blood donation.
Okay, familiar territory.
Yeah, but not the usual stuff like, saving lives, although that is, of course, incredibly important.
Right.
But there's research suggesting that donating blood can actually cause beneficial genetic changes. Like, it can change your genes for the better. Crazy, right?
Really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, we're diving into a study from the Francis Crick Institute. It was published in the journal Blood. And I think it's going to change how you think about rolling up your sleeve to donate.
I'm definitely intrigued.
So this research focuses on something called clonal hematopoiesis.
Clonal hematopoiesis.
Yeah, CH for short. It sounds super complicated.
It does.
Can you maybe break it down? Like, explain it to me like I'm 5.
All right, so imagine you have a field of wildflowers, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it. Wildflowers.
You've got all different kinds growing together. Now imagine one type suddenly starts growing faster, spreading more than the others.
Okay.
That's kind of like what happens in your bone marrow with CH. It's where a specific set of blood cells, all originating from one parent cell, start to dominate.
So it's like survival of the fittest, but for blood cells.
Exactly.
So is this CH thing caused by these blood donations? Or is there something else going on?
That's where things get really interesting. So the study found that both frequent blood donors,
Frequent meaning?
people who have donated over 120 times.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, those are the superstars. But anyway, both those frequent donors and the infrequent donors had similar levels of CH.
Interesting.
But here's the thing. The types of mutations causing this phenomenon were different between the groups. It's like...
They were growing different wildflowers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about having mutations.
Right.
It's about having the right kind of mutations. Are you saying there are good mutations?
That's exactly what this research is suggesting. And the gene at the heart of all of this is called DNMT3A.
DNMT3A.
Got it. This gene basically helps regulate other genes. So it's kind of like a conductor, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Okay, so it's kind of important.
Hugely important. And mutations in DNMT3A are often associated with blood cancers.
Oh, so not good.
Well, not necessarily, because here's the thing. The mutations in frequent blood donors, they were different from those linked to cancer.
So they're like good mutations.
It seems that way, yeah. Especially when it comes to blood regeneration.
Okay, now I'm really lost.
Yeah.
How can a mutation, something usually considered bad, be beneficial?
Well, think about what happens when you donate blood. Your body needs to work overtime to replace all those red blood cells you just gave away.
Makes sense.
So to do that, it releases this hormone called erythropoietin, EPO for short.
Okay, EPO. I've heard of that.
Right. It signals the bone marrow to start producing more red blood cells.
So where do the good mutations come in?
Well, the researchers found that cells with these specific DNMT3A mutations are super responders to EPO.
Super responders.
Yeah, they're like the A-team of blood cell production. They outcompete other cells and pump out red blood cells super efficiently.
So basically, these frequent blood donors,
They've evolved.
they've evolved to become even better at bouncing back after donating blood. That's amazing. So they're helping others and helping themselves at the same time. Talk about a win-win. But wouldn't constantly triggering that EPO response put some kind of strain on the body?
That's a good question. It's a delicate balance, that's for sure. But here's the thing. What we know so far is that these specific mutations in frequent donors, they don't seem to increase the risk of those blood cancers we talked about earlier.
So it really does seem like an advantage.
Yeah, it's like their bodies have figured out a way to maximize the benefits of donating blood without the downsides.
That's incredible. So basically, these frequent donors are like superheroes, constantly regenerating and replenishing their blood. It's like a superpower. But let's be real, not everyone donates 120 times. What about those of us who donate less often? Or are maybe even first-time donors?
That's a great point. And while this study focused on the superstars, the super frequent donors, it's quite possible that even occasional donation could trigger some level of positive adaptation. You know, it's probably a sliding scale. The more you donate, the greater the potential benefit. But we need more research to really understand how frequency and duration of donation affect these genetic changes.
So even just a few donations could be enough to start growing some of those beneficial wildflowers. That's pretty amazing. And it makes you wonder, are there any other advantages to having these super responder cells Could this impact other areas of health?
That's a great question, and one that deserves a lot more investigation. This is all still very new, you know?
Yeah.
But it definitely opens the door to some pretty exciting possibilities.
Yeah, it really is mind-blowing to think that something as simple as donating blood
Yeah,
could have these long-term positive impacts on the donor's health.
absolutely. And who knows, maybe those benefits even extend to the people receiving the blood.
Right, like for people with certain medical conditions, blood transfusions are literally a lifeline. And to think that the blood they're receiving might come from donors with these, enhanced adaptations.
It's pretty remarkable.
It really makes you think about the impact of individual actions. Like one person's decision to donate could have this huge ripple effect.
I agree.
Hopefully this research will inspire more people to become regular donors.
I hope so too.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the genetics, which is super fascinating.
Yeah.
But the article we read also mentioned some other advantages of frequent blood donation.
It did.
Did the researchers touch on any of those?
They did. They talked about, for example, how several studies have linked regular blood donation to lower blood pressure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a reduced risk of heart attacks.
Wow, okay.
In fact, one study found that regular donors had a 17% lower risk of experiencing a cardiovascular event.
17%, that's huge.
It is.
So donating blood is basically like a workout for your heart.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a natural way to keep your cardiovascular system in good shape.
Right,
Yeah.
makes sense. And beyond heart health.
Beyond heart health, frequent donation can also help balance iron levels in the body.
Oh, right. That's important for people with certain conditions where they accumulate too much iron, right?
Exactly. Hemochromatosis is one example. But even for those without those conditions, balanced iron is important for overall health.
So we've got potential benefits for blood regeneration, heart health, iron balance, anything else. I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
Well, there's some early evidence that frequent blood donation might also improve glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity.
Wait, really? So could donating blood actually help protect against type 2 diabetes?
Potentially, yes. It's still early days, but the initial findings are interesting. More research is needed to confirm these potential metabolic benefits.
Wow. It's amazing to think that something as simple as donating blood could have such wide-ranging effects on our health.
Right.
And we haven't even talked about the psychological benefits.
Oh, that's right. Donating blood often comes with a sense of satisfaction, knowing you've done something good. A lot of donors report feeling less stressed and more connected to their communities.
That makes sense. Like there's a feel-good factor involved.
Definitely.
It's like a chain reaction of positivity.
I like that.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But was there anything else in the research that really stood out to you?
You know what I found really intriguing was a subtle difference they observed in the shape of red blood cells.
The shape. What do you mean? Were they square or something?
Haha, no, not quite. It was subtle, but statistically significant. The red blood cells from frequent donors were slightly more concave,
Concave. Okay.
almost like a tiny bowl.
Okay. But wouldn't that make the cells more fragile? Like more likely to break or get damaged?
That's a great question. And unfortunately, the research didn't really go into the potential implications of this shape difference. It's definitely something that needs more investigation.
Right. It makes you wonder if there's a functional advantage to this shape. Like maybe it helps them carry oxygen more efficiently or something.
Absolutely.
It's like a whole new layer of the mystery. Okay, so more research is needed on the shape thing. But did the researchers offer any other clues about these super donors?
One thing that really stood out to me was the potential impact of these adaptations on aging. Because you see, as we age, our ability to produce new blood cells naturally declines.
Yeah, tell me about it. My energy levels aren't what they used to be.
Right, exactly. But what if these beneficial mutations we've been talking about could somehow mitigate that age-related decline?
Wait, are you saying that frequent blood donation could be the key to staying young?
I wouldn't go that far just yet, but it's definitely a fascinating area for future research. You know, if these mutations enhance blood cell production and response to EPO, could they also help counteract the natural slowdown that comes with aging? We need more data to know for sure.
So basically, we need to find a bunch of centenarians who are also frequent blood donors.
Haha, exactly. That's a study I would love to see.
Me too. Okay, so we've got heart health, iron balance, possible diabetes protection, the fountain of youth. I'm sensing a theme here.
It does seem like these frequent donors might be onto something, but it's important to remember that correlation doesn't equal causation. More research is needed to understand all the different factors at play.
I know, right? It really makes you appreciate how much we still don't know about the human body.
Definitely. and how amazing it is in terms of adapting.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you think people listening should know about all this? Like, what's the main thing you want them to walk away with?
I think the big takeaway here is that our bodies are way more adaptable and resilient than we think. Like simple things, everyday actions like donating blood, they can actually cause really big changes.
At a genetic level, no less.
Exactly. And those changes can be good for us and maybe even for others.
Yeah, it's a powerful message. Okay, so I think that about does it for this deep dive, but I do have one last question for everyone listening, something to think about as they go about their day. So if these genetic adaptations are so beneficial, could they be, copied or even like enhanced in other ways? Like could other things we do, lifestyle stuff, trigger similar positive changes in our blood?
That's a great question. And I'm sure scientists are looking into that as we speak. Like, imagine if we could use what we're learning about those adaptations to come up with new treatments for blood disorders, or even like help athletes recover faster.
Wow, the possibilities are really endless. It just
Mm.
shows that we're really just starting to understand how complex the human body is and how amazing it is at adapting.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about science. There's always something new to discover, and it feels like we're always learning more.
It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of blood donation, that's for sure. Thanks to everyone for listening and for, coming along with us on this journey.
Until next time, stay curious and keep an open mind about all the amazing things science is uncovering.